Good evening, time travelers and trivia lovers. Today is July 31st, and we're diving deep into a date where a Hawaiian king outwitted a British captain, the moon got its first paparazzi session, and someone decided the world needed to appreciate avocados officially. We've got unsinkable ships, disappearing authors, Olympic glory, and yes, even uncommon musical instruments trying very hard to be heard. Let's roll into history like a lunar rover, because that actually happened today too.
Let's start with some celebrations you didn't know you needed. First up, Sovereignty Restoration Day in Hawaii. On July 31st, 1843, after a cheeky British occupation, Admiral Richard Thomas handed the Hawaiian kingdom back to King Kamehameha III. Cue the dramatic flag raising and the iconic phrase, "Ua mau ke ia o ka aina I ka pono," or for the rest of us, the life of the land is perpetuated in righteousness. Diplomacy 1, Colonial Ambition 0. Next, it's Uncommon Instrument Awareness Day, the day we celebrate the theremin, hurdy-gurdy, and other instruments that sound like they're trying to contact aliens or summon goats. Hug a glass harmonica player today, if you can find one. And finally, Avocado Day, because guacamole deserves its own day, and probably a statue.
Now to the candle-blowing legends born on July 31st. In 1912, Milton Friedman arrived, economist extraordinaire and winner of the 1976 Nobel Prize. He made money talk, literally. J.K. Rowling, born in 1965, gave us Harry Potter and a whole new generation of bookworms. Fun fact, Harry shares her birthday. That's what we call magical branding. Wesley Snipes, 1962, sliced his way onto screens in Blade and Demolition Man. Vampires beware. Primo Levi, 1919, Italian chemist and Holocaust survivor, turned his trauma into timeless literature. Robert C. Merton, 1944, made your hedge fund smarter by winning a Nobel for options pricing. Try fitting that into a birthday card. And John Ericsson, born in 1803, built the USS Monitor and revolutionized naval warfare. Thanks to him, screw propellers stopped being nautical nonsense.
And now we respectfully remember those who left us on this day. Franz Liszt passed in 1886 due to pneumonia and heart failure. Composer, pianist, and the original rock star of classical music. Denis Diderot, Enlightenment thinker, died in 1784, most likely heart disease or intellectual exhaustion. Aurelia Cotta, Julius Caesar's mom, died in 54 BC. Cause of death, likely natural causes, or the stress of raising the future dictator of Rome. Ignatius of Loyola, founder of the Jesuits, died in 1556 of fever, possibly malaria, a spiritual heavyweight until the end. Antoine de Saint Exupéry, pilot and author of The Little Prince, vanished in 1944 during a recon flight, presumed dead in a mysterious crash. Somewhere, a fox still waits for him. And in 2009, Sir Bobby Robson, England football manager, passed from lung cancer. A legend in cleats and kindness.
Here's your wartime weather report from July 31st throughout history. The Battle of Crevant in 1423. Anglo-Burgundians versus Franco-Scots in a 100 Years' War brawl. Spoiler alert, the Brits and Burgundians won. Passchendaele, or the Third Battle of Ypres, kicked off in 1917. Think mud, misery, and over 500,000 casualties for almost no strategic gain. And in 1991, something nicer happened. The US-Soviet START wine treaty was signed, limiting nuclear weapons and for once, helping the world breathe a little easier.
From trenches to telescopes, here's what happened in the sky. In 1964, Ranger 7 gave us humanity's first close-up photos of the moon. Apollo 15 brought a moon buggy in 1971. Astronauts David Scott and James Irwin took the lunar roving vehicle out for a spin. No lunar traffic jams were reported. In 1999, NASA crashed the Lunar Prospector into the moon. Not a mistake, just looking for water.
And now for your sports roundup, sweat, records, and Olympic gold. On July 31st, 1928, Elizabeth Robinson tied her own 100-meter world record, 12.2 seconds, at the first ever women's Olympic track event. Fast forward to 2012, Michael Phelps won his 19th Olympic medal, becoming the most decorated Olympian of all time.
Behold the nerdy brilliance of July 31st. In 1790, the very first U.S. patent was granted to Samuel Hopkins for a potash refining method. And in 1865, Queensland, Australia, saw the opening of a narrow-gauge railway in Grantchester. It didn't change the world, but it did change how sheep got around.
Grab your maps and volcanology hats. It's time to explore. On July 31st, 1498, Christopher Columbus landed on Trinidad during his third voyage. He probably thought he discovered something no one else knew about. He hadn't. And in 781, Mount Fuji had its earliest recorded eruption. Nature decided Japan's landscape needed a dramatic upgrade.
The art scene was not quiet on July 31st. In 1930, the shadow radio drama made its haunting debut. Who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men? Apparently, CBS did. And back in 1703, author Daniel Defoe was sentenced to the pillory for his satirical writing.
Here's today's dispatch from the world of politics and power plays. In 1658, Aurangzeb formally became Mughal emperor after ousting his own dad. And in 1843, as we mentioned earlier, Hawaii got its sovereignty back, at least for 50 years before the US took over.
And that, dear viewer, is your whirlwind ride through July 31st. If your birthday is today, forget Franz Liszt and Harry Potter. You are the most important star of this day to the people who love you. Thanks for joining us on this stroll through sovereignty, spacewalks, sports, and screw propellers. If you enjoyed this quirky time capsule, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because tomorrow's history needs an audience too.